And as the contact, the next day, my phone rang off the hook from people all over the state. One of the people, the most important people that called me, was the chairman of the University of Michigan, Young Republicans. His name was Steve Stockmeyer. And from that time on, for years, our paths were crossed and we were allies for many things. And that's what got me recognized for the first time on the state level.
And it shows how fast you could get involved at a very high level in state politics if you really wanted to.
Anticipating the next question, within that year, I was the chairman of the Macomb County Senior Party. And that's how fast you could get involved, and probably still can get involved in politics and get ahead.
1962, George Romney's elected governor. Immediately in April, 3 months after he takes office, the state constitutional convention has to be approved by the voters. What was going on with you at that time?
In that time, I got elected. I got elected in early '63. Dave Wells, who was the Macomb County chairman, was a stockbroker, was dying. He was losing money, spending too much time on politics. He got out. I got elected the Macomb County chairman. Okay,
so you're the Macomb County chairman. Then you come into this very turbulent year of 1964, and you're a Romney man, and you're the Macomb County chairman.
That's a pretty good, or maybe mild, description of it, Bill.
Well, okay, and you were a delegate to the National Convention that summer?
Yeah, I got elected a delegate representing the 12th Congressional District, which was all of Macomb County and Lapeer County.
Okay.
Each county was given a delegate, and Ellen Buda Phelan was the county chairman in Lapeer, and she got it, and I got it. And I was so excited coming back from that county convention. I'm going along, and playing on the radio was "I Left My Heart in San Francisco." And I was now on my way to San Francisco. How great it was, how great it was. So yes, we got, this became the focal point of my life, the 1964 convention.
Okay, so you're in the Cow Palace. What about the Goldwater delegation? What about the convention? Were you there for the speeches? Rockefeller being booed?
I was.
The whole shooting match. What happened?
As I remember the whole, it was amazing. You know, here's this, I'm still figuring I'm a kid. I'm still remembering the sun porch in Erie, Pennsylvania in '48. All of a sudden I'm on the Cow Palace. You go up and down the aisles, and every newsman that you could ever seen or heard of, there they are with their microphone, their headset, interviewing people. It was great.
Was there a presence for George Romney there? Was there a demonstration for him of some sort?
Yes, and actually, that's one of the embarrassing things of my life. For some reason, on Sunday when I got there, Peg Little, who was Romney's secretary, asked me, I didn't even know she knew me, she asked me if I'd handle a Romney demonstration. Oh, I said, for sure I would. So what we did was we got a bunch of Romney girls. If you remember, the Romney girls were all dressed in blue with a white sash and a white boater. We got them, and I said to them, you know, everybody's dropping balloons. Why don't we do something different? Let's have balloons rise. And so we got them, and when it came time for the Romney nomination, the 12 girls were lined up in front of the podium, and they all got dozens of balloons in their hands, ready to let them go. And Thurston Morton was the chairman and said, "You're run out of steam, this is it." I said, "Okay, let them go, girls," and they did. And they all fell to the floor. The guy who was supposed to get helium forgot to get helium. They blew him up by hand, and they all fell on the floor.
Well, people probably noticed that anyway. Maybe people stepped on him, and there was a lot of noise.
Right. That was the Romney
but was that a serious candidacy by Romney? Did he really have a chance to get the nomination? What was the story there?
He was going to. He at one time was the moderate's choice to stop. Everything was to stop Goldwater. And eventually Scranton became the focal point. Who was the governor of Pennsylvania. Dwight Eisenhower asked him to get in, and all of a sudden Eisenhower, oops, this is going to be bad. And so he asked him to get out for party unity. It was very embarrassing. So it was. It was bad before we even got to San Francisco.
So people were scrambling around for some moderate, any moderate to stop Goldwater, and at that point, maybe the people that like Romney said, "Look, let's put his name in nomination. Let's have a demonstration."
It was Rockefeller was detested by the Goldwater people because of what was called the Fifth Avenue Pact or whatever it was in 1960. Anyways, prior to that, the campaign was really vicious, and we started getting mail by the millions. Goldwater's campaign sent out, but individuals were writing once your delegation was in, and they were such vulgar, vicious attacks on Romney or Rockefeller.
Was this before the convention?
This is before we went to the convention.
Yeah, okay.
And this was trying to help Goldwater.
All right.
Goldwater came, I think it was on June 30th, for a delegation meeting in Lansing. There was friction between he and Romney. Romney had tried to get a individual meeting with him to iron out their differences, and Goldwater wouldn't meet with him.
Wouldn't meet with him?
So we get into the, and it became probably the most important meeting I've ever been to in my life, personally. We came there, and after we were going through, and he was taking questions.
Well, how many people were at this meeting?
Well, it was the delegation meeting. It was the delegation and
the Michigan delegation.
The Michigan delegation
to the national convention.
It was a pre-convention,
which had not occurred yet.
Right, and it was in the Jack Tar Hotel in Lansing, in a small meeting room, suffocating. Anyways,
which is right across from the state capitol.
Which was, I guess, it's a state office building.
It's a Romney office building now.
It was a Romney office. Okay,
yes.
It was Jack Tar was the hotel, the only downtown hotel in Lansing.
Right.
We go, and Goldwater's taking questions, and finally, I'm nervous as the devil, but I got up and said, basically I said, Senator, the stuff that we're getting from your campaign is wonderful, but the stuff we're getting for those who are supporting you is just vicious. And I had a stack over 6 foot tall I brought with me of these stuff. And basically I said, this can't go on. It's not doing good, and it's not good. I said, will you please speak out and tell these people to stop? He said, I know just what you mean. I'm Jewish, and they do that to me all the time. Well, okay. Well, he said it wouldn't do any good. I said, well, why don't you try? He said, well, nobody listened to me. I said, sir, the entire national press corps is outside this room. Why don't you go right out here now and say, this is no good, don't you know it? He said it wouldn't do any good. And I sat down, and I had noticed 2 men looking at me, like, what this guy's doing. One was George Romney. The other was a guy by the name of Bill Milliken, who was also a member of the delegation, as was Allison.
Yeah.
And I always felt
they thought you were asking the question they wanted to ask themselves.
And maybe, or Lance, but anyways, somebody had the guts to face down Goldwater.
Yeah.
I, nervous as the devil I was, I went out of the room and I did my first ever television interview with film, the whole thing. Ben Marshall, who was, I believe, with Channel 2 in Detroit.
Yeah.
And it was that time I said, the answers I got from the senator make it impossible for me to support him.
Yeah.
And, well, you can imagine what some of the...
Well, then you really got some hate mail.
Oh, anyways, but that...
Well, anyway, okay, so you go to San Francisco.
We go to San Francisco.
Yeah. Okay, well, we all know what happened in San Francisco. Goldwater won. Rockefeller gave his speech.
The booze and catcalls?
Yeah, the booze and catcalls. And go ahead.
What reminds me, when Scranton's name was put in nomination, I can still see this little old lady, she's probably 75, 80 years old, with a plaque, a Stanford, sitting, enjoying herself and waving the Stanton sign. I don't know, she may have had a Goldwater sign 10 minutes before. Yeah. And some young punk come over and just slugging her in the face.
Slugging this woman in the face?
The Goldwater supporter, Goldwater had great control of his delegates on the floor. But the people in supporting him in the stands were maniacs.
Maniacs.
They were maniacs.
Well, what was the big philosophical difference at that time between Goldwater supporters and the so-called moderates in the party like Rockefeller and Scranton and Romney? I mean, what did the real differences between the various factions of the party appear to be at that time? The
famous Goldwater quote, extremism in defense of liberty is no crime, and and that was
moderation.
Moderation and defense of liberty is no virtue, or something like that. Anyways, that was the whole Goldwater thing. And
well, I know, but were there any particular issues that people really disagreed on? Do you think?
Civil rights to begin with. Civil rights. That's right.
Okay.
Goldwater voted. That was the year that Goldwater voted against the civil rights bill in the Congress. That was a big one. And well, the John Birch Society. The John Birch Society, which was an extreme right-wing group,
and they were heavily in support of Goldwater.
And that's probably where most of my hate